What if I told you that nuclear energy isn't the monster that the media and so many people paint it out to be? What if I told you that instead it was the safest, the most efficient, and environmental friendly source of power? From the beginning, nuclear energy has always been perceived as dangerous or destructive. These notions mainly come from the events that occurred, such as Chernobyl in the Ukraine. Instead of choosing to see the benefits and choosing to see the positive side of nuclear energy and what it can do for our world, people choose to associate these disasters with like a small portion of what can happen or result from nuclear energy, the use of nuclear energy that has resulted instead from human error and not because nuclear energy is dangerous. This common nature for humans to fear the unknown, and in this case, the unknown is nuclear energy. According to Dr. Lena Arif of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, disasters such as the one at Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island or Fukushima have given nuclear power a bad rap and caused people to see it as negative or destructive. And as you can see from this chart, I've selected death rates from air pollution and accidents related to energy production. And as you can see, nuclear, these 3 accidents have caused an average of 0.07 deaths per terawatt hour of energy production. And at the top of this list is brown coal, which has caused 32.72 deaths per terawatt hour of energy production. And again, coal at 18.4 and gas at 2.2. This goes to show that when you associate a less than a handful of disasters with how dangerous something can be, such as nuclear energy, it causes humans to completely shut out the idea of accepting what nuclear energy could be and choosing to paint it as a bad source of energy. This false sense of danger causes technological advancements in safety and efficiency to be halted, essentially. And the solution required to finding a way to safely dispose of nuclear waste is unable to be found because of this false sense of danger. Now that we've identified the problem, we must now work to find a solution for this problem and to convince people who are opposed to nuclear energy that the benefits greatly outweigh the risks. They must be shown facts and they must be shown statistics and educated on the positive sides of nuclear energy. And Pulitzer Prize-winning author Richard Rhodes argues that nuclear energy is the safer and more reliable than most energy sources combined and is a necessary requirement for the world to greatly reduce CO2 emissions. As you can see from this graph, the CO2 emissions caused from coal are so much higher than that of nuclear, and natural gas so much higher than nuclear, solar and hydroelectric much higher than the CO2 emissions from nuclear energy. This graph was compiled by Eric Counts of Stanford University, and he effectively shows the CO2 emissions of coal and other commonly used forms of electric production are much higher than that of nuclear, which goes to show that nuclear is the most environmental friendly. Now that we've identified the problem now proposed a solution, I will continue to support the argument that nuclear power is the safest, most effective, and environmental friendly. The future of our Earth and the lives of our future generations depend on whether or not we choose to accept how effective nuclear energy is and how safe it is for the future. Nuclear energy already produces most of the world's emission-free electricity, which gives enough reason for any kind of activists, such as the environmental activists or global warming, to back and support nuclear energy because of its emission-free energy production. Out of nearly 17,000 operational years of nuclear reactors, only 3 disasters have occurred. And this is something that most people don't really think about that these reactors have been operating for so long, and out of all these hours and all these years of production, only 3 major events have occurred, and only one resulted in a few deaths. Which again, I can tie back into this death, relating deaths to other forms of energy production and comparing them to that of nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is also by far the most efficient, and at any given time, the average power capacity that a nuclear reactor could be working at is 92%, which is much higher than geothermal, coal, wind, and solar, meaning that at any given time, a nuclear reactor will be averaging about 92% of its capacity. The Earth has been negatively impacted by CO2 emissions brought on by coal and natural gas burning, and the solution to this problem is simple. We must accept nuclear energy as our only source of power in the world. If not for our lifetime, for our future generations, we must accept and gain a better understanding of what it means to accept nuclear power as our primary source. And as far as coal and natural gas, these two alone have caused more CO2 emissions and caused the Earth to completely be battered by these negative effects. And we must see that nuclear energy is the best and most prominent solution to that problem.